Hey everyone, this is Brandon from gloxx.ai. So last year, about 41% of all the code that shipped to production was written by AI, and that code, roughly 1.7 times more bugs than the code humans write. So you'd think every engineering org on the planet is loading up on QA engineers right now. They're not. They're firing them. Stay with me because in the next 8 minutes, I'll show you the math on why that's a mistake. And a way to keep QA expertise on your team without the headcount cost. It's called fractional QA. Quick definition before we go further. QA, quality assurance, is the engineering practice of catching bugs before your customers do. Fractional QA is what we'll come back to in a few minutes. Okay, here's the data. CodeRabbit ran a study at the end of 2025. 470 real GitHub pull requests. Half of them AI co-authored, the other half human only. The AI ones average just under 11 issues per PR, humans 6.5. That's a 1.7 times bug rate, holding everything else constant. And it gets worse when you split the categories. Logic and correctness errors, 75% more common in AI code. Security vulnerabilities up to 2.7 times higher. Excessive I/O, the kind of thing that quietly kills your database under load, about 8 times more common. Now layer that on top of 41% of all 2025 code being AI generated. That's not a lab finding anymore. That's most of production. So what did the industry do? Look, in March 2026, Atlassian announced 1,600 layoffs, about 10% of their workforce. Reports indicated that AI tooling had cut their manual testing demand by as much as 60%, and QA was one of the specific roles named. And they're not alone. First quarter of 2026 alone, over 52,000 tech sector cuts, roughly half of those attributed to AI displacement. So we have more buggy code, shipping faster with fewer humans checking it. That's the contradiction. If you've ever read a report on software quality cost, you've probably seen the CISQ number. Poor software quality costs the US economy about $2.4 trillion a year. That's a real number, but it's so big it goes in one ear and out the other, right? So let me make it concrete with the kind of math regulated industries actually run. I mean, I work in QA at a financial services company, the kind that gets audited, the kind that has compliance officers, where one missed defect in production can become a regulatory event. In that world, a single trading execution bug that reaches customers, conservatively a $2 to $5 million incident. Once you add up regulatory exposure, customer compensation, and the post-mortem the regulator wants to see, a compliance violation tied to a software defect, fines run from 10,000 on the small end to 50 million on the big end. Our regression suite has well over 100 specs, not because we love writing tests, because one missed compliance bug can erase a year of engineering investment. And here's the part that hits everyone, regulated or not. The cost of a bug scales by where you catch it. Caught in development, 1 unit of cost. Caught in staging, roughly 10 times that. Caught in production, 100 times. So when a company cuts QA to save salary line items, they're not actually saving money. They're moving the cost from a predictable salary to, an unpredictable production incident. It just doesn't show up on the same spreadsheet. Okay, so the problem is real. But hiring a senior QA engineer in the US, fully loaded with benefits, equipment, ramp up, costs roughly $130,000 a year. For a startup or a small team, that's a hard budget conversation, especially right now. So here's the option most people haven't considered yet, fractional QA. It's pretty much what it sounds like. I mean, instead of one full-time hire, you bring in QA expertise on a part-time monthly retainer basis. No long-term commitment, no headcount slot, just senior eyes on your release process when you actually need them. Let me give you real numbers. There are 3 common engagement shapes. 1, time and materials, pay per hour. Manual testers go for $15 to $35 an hour. Automation engineers, 20 to 50. Test architects, the senior people who can design your whole testing strategy, $45 to $80 an hour. 2, dedicated pod. A small team, a lead, 2 manual testers, an automation engineer, 8 to 12,000 a month, all in. 3, managed QA service. The vendor owns the entire function, tools, processes, SLAs, the whole thing. 8 to 25,000 a month. Compare those to 130,000 a year for one in-house senior. The cost reduction is 60 to 70% for equivalent coverage. That's the math. Now, I want to be honest with you because fractional QA isn't always the right call. It works very well for bounded specialist work, building an automation foundation from scratch, Pick a fractional team, give them 3 months, walk away with a working CI test suite, owning a regression pack, running release sign off, auditing your role based access matrix in a regulated app. All places where you want a senior who's done it 20 times before, not someone learning on your dime. Where it struggles, two things specifically. The first is deep domain context. If your product takes 6 months to truly understand a complex healthcare workflow, a niche trading system, a fractional engineer working 10 hours a week is going to be ramping up forever. That kind of role wants a full time hire who lives in the code base. The second is on call and incident response. Fractional QA is a planned work model. If you need someone paged at 2 in the morning when production goes down, that's not what you're buying. The right mental model, treat your fractional QA team like a senior consultant. Give them a bounded surface they fully own, not everything sometimes. That's the failure mode I see most often. 5 things to nail down before you sign anything. 1. Scope the surface first. Pick a specific area, regression suite, release process, security test matrix, one product, write it down. The contract should reference it. 2. Integrate where the work already lives, Slack, your ticket tracker, GitHub PRs, your CI. A fractional QA engineer who works in their own bubble is just overhead. 3. Define what success looks like upfront. Defects caught pre-production, regression suite flake rate, release sign-off lead time. Pick 2 or 3 numbers. Review them monthly. 4. Start with time and materials. Graduate to a retainer. Lower risk on both sides for the first 60 to 90 days. If it's working, lock in the retainer. If it's not, walk away cleanly. 5. Give them ownership, not just tasks. This is the difference between a useful engagement and a frustrating one. They should be writing the test plan, not waiting for yours. All right, the summary is short. AI made code faster and buggier in the same step. The companies cutting QA in response to that are making a math error. They're trading a predictable salary line for an unpredictable production incident line. Fractional QA is the cheapest, lowest risk way to keep real QA expertise on your team without owning the headcount. If you're staffing QA decisions in 2026, share this with whoever owns your engineering budget. And if you'd like me to break down a specific engagement model, what a release sign-off retainer looks like, or how to scope a regression suite handoff, leave a comment. I'll do that next.